And if outside I could take the children who I know now are struggling and I'm trying to help, and I could sit them outside the shops that you go to, or in the aisles at the supermarket, or at the bar of the nightclub, and I said to you, choose to buy the shit over helping that child. Choose to buy the drink over giving that child something to eat. Choose to buy the extra bottles of wine or the unnecessary clothing instead of helping that child. None of you would. Hey guys, so I'm here in Hamburg. It's very difficult to be back in Europe. Very. Now, I'm from Europe, so don't take offense to what I'm going to say. But everyone's just so disconnected from the present moment and the reality of life. Really difficult. I say everyone, I mean the majority. It's really, really difficult. Now, the first thing I was greeted with when I landed in Schiphol in Amsterdam, or Schiphol, how do you pronounce it? I forget. The airport, was a sign saying, retail therapy, here I come, or here we come, or something along those lines. And I cringed, and I said to Fritzy, I can't believe this is the first thing. It was a huge sign right next to the plane on the side of the airport. I said, I can't believe this is the first thing I see when I land here in Europe. And the thing is, this is what's wrong with us. Now, I'm in this as well. I am a programmed consumer from a young age. I was brought up in the West, so I have consumer programming in my brain. And I see it when, on the rare occasion I have to shop for something. Maybe I need to order something online. Something related to work, something for the computer, something for the camera. When I've had to order clothing in the past, you all know my story of the missing luggage, which has happened again, I should say, but they say they're going to find it. So now I lost my luggage and ended up with money to buy a new wardrobe. So I did, but I noticed in myself I'd spent all that time in Tanzania refusing to shop, refusing to buy things, because I could see better places for money to be spent on than on myself. But when I began shopping, it was like uncaging a consumerist monster, and I was enjoying it. Oh, what can I get? And it's a horrible, horrible, weak side of a person, and it exists in me. So don't feel like I'm picking on you, because me too, it exists. But don't define yourself as that. Now, the very concept of the term retail therapy is very Western. And it stems from Freud introducing the idea that you can sell things based on people gratifying their emotions instead of a utilitarian need. That's why resources are getting wasted to satisfy a need which will never be satisfied other than you providing profit for somebody. For when you sell things based on emotion and desire, they'll never fill the void inside you. And this is the problem with the Western system, and it's so heavily influenced and designed now. Retail therapy, the very word, to sell something as a therapeutic means to a person. Let's look at it from the point of the production person or the shop owner. Retail therapy becomes selling things for a profit, taking advantage of psychological and emotional emptiness in my fellow human being by making them feel gratified and happy for a fleeting moment by selling them some more meaningless shit that they don't need. Like I say, been there. Me too. There was a time before Tanzania, if you looked in my wardrobe, I just had so many clothes that I didn't need. And this is my bottomless pit of desire, as is mentioned in Revelations in the Bible. The bottomless pit is the human desires. And when the world is set up in a consumerist way, then the world is in trouble. Because the bottomless pit of desires is killing the planet to create the desires, to create the meaningless shit that we buy. And human desire, as written in the Word of God, is bottomless. But the resources of the planet are not bottomless. So eventually human desire will destroy the planet. Like a cancer driven by desire, that is what we are doing. Retail therapy. No freedom, no real control. Even the highest members of society, those with millions in the bank, if they don't understand money and how it's printed, they are nothing. How can they? The super rich I'm talking about. I don't speak about those of us who have worked hard in the system to get what we get. I talk about the super rich, the celebrities on TV who are shoving it down your throat, this lifestyle. This pathetic way of life, completely material, and the abandonment of spirituality. And until we don't desire it, then the prison is always there. The prison without walls. The retail prison is part of it. If we don't desire the crap they give us, if we don't look at someone like a celebrity who has millions of pounds, who in the public eye are driving a sports car and wearing the best clothes, if you don't look at them with any admiration or any envy, and you look at them in a way where you say, okay, you've got all this stuff, and you've worked hard to get it possibly, you've got a nice big house, so on and so forth. But if they're not doing anything good, in the words of Saint Basil, we call a thief, but the money you hoard up belongs to the poor. So are the rich not the biggest thieves of all? Because somehow in the world we think that money and things give us some elevated status. But I've got less respect for a multi-millionaire celebrity wasting money and showing themselves off on TV. Much less respect than what I have for those men and women I see working and labouring in the fields day in, day out, just so they can afford a mattress, for example. I've seen men work for 2 months to buy their first mattress. A mattress. And then I come home and they're selling people who I share this planet with the idea that it's therapeutic to buy more of their pointless shit. Their pointless shit that they're destroying the planet to manufacture, and that doesn't fill any void within you. Because the only way you'll fill the void is by going within, as every scripture has told you. By seeking first the kingdom. Find God inside yourself. Don't find stimulation outside of yourself. Don't spend time like the living dead walking around in a nightclub and then needing to go to work so you can buy a nice outfit to do it the next week. Because I've done it. And you're but a percentage of a human being when you do. For you can do amazing things using different laws of the universe so long as you are free of such behaviours. You can manifest things that once over would be a wild dream. Now, when I decide upon something, my only question is, how long will it take? It wouldn't be like that if I was buying into this Western prison. This Western consumerist prison. Retail is not therapy. It is not therapy. Buying shit you don't need is not therapy. And if outside I could take the children who I know now are struggling and I'm trying to help, and I could sit them outside the shops that you go to, or in the aisles at the supermarket, or at the bar of the nightclub, and I said to you, choose to buy the shit over helping that child. Choose to buy the drink over giving that child something to eat. Choose to buy the extra bottles of wine or the unnecessary clothing instead of helping that child. None of you would. But I can't bring the children and plop them in front of those places. But I can hopefully show you them on YouTube. And then when you go and you decide one day that you're going to do this pre-programmed retail therapy that I've done in the past, and I'm at risk of doing, as we all are growing up in the West, and we have a duty to the world, to humanity, to the planet, to deprogram ourselves. If I am able to do it, then you are. But one of the things that helped me is, whilst I was deprogramming from that consumerist mindset, was remembering images I'd seen of such children as the ones I speak of. So perhaps, metaphorically speaking, by showing you with my YouTube videos what it is actually like in the world, without doing what is right like the big charities do and say you have to be careful of the rights of the children. No, the truth needs to be put into the West. It doesn't need to be censored any longer. And perhaps I can put a child at the bar, because it will come into your mind as you go to buy the extra drink or the extra cocktail that you don't need, that doesn't help you, the planet, or your body, your health, your family. Then you think of that child and you think, you know what, that one drink a week can put a child into school instead of them ending up in labour, which is too difficult for them, so they run away, so they end up homeless on the streets, where they are raped and abused and they starve and they get covered in skin infections and some die. Because we in the West weren't awake enough to understand that our choices have an impact on the developing world. Because the global system we live in devours resources to prop up the Western way of life, and the most resource-rich continents like Africa are the most impoverished because it's not evenly shared and distributed. Because the resources and the land that could be being used to feed those children are being used for pointless things. Things that fulfill our material desires in the West. It has to change, but it won't change without you guys. Unless we as individuals don't buy in to the consumerist programming. The system will never change, for it's us buying into it that gives them power to then sell it to our children and to their children. And then everyone will be born a slave. Psychologically speaking, you will be born imprisoned to a consumerist way of life, where the pain of life is supposedly eased by going to a shop and buying something which fills the power of some elite person you've never met or heard of. Yeah, anyway. So I'm in Europe. It's nice to get a break, but it's difficult to look around me. It's difficult to see the state things are in. doesn't need to be this way. But we have to stand up and stop it. Because no one else is going to. So, next time you're heading off for some retail therapy, have a work out how much money you're going to spend. And when I tell you £100 a year can stop a child from facing the things that I know children face because they can't get their hands, often even on less than £100 a year, then begin to wonder, not if the richer person than you can do it, but if by you doing it, you can influence someone else to do it, and then they can influence someone else. Perhaps we can change the system. Perhaps. I live and hope for that, or I wouldn't do what I was doing anyway. Much love, guys.